So this is the Daily Whatever, everybody. It is
It is.
June 3rd, I think.
It is
We
June
are
3rd.
delighted to have the lovely Wendy the Druid with us. I'm Lawrence Winterman, by the way. Who are you,
I'm
Dana?
Dana and I'm Dana Dubois here in the dark. But
Excellent.
whoa, sorry, there goes my hand. They're putting this on here. Getting everything going on. Y'all, I don't know if this part was on camera or not.
It's all on camera.
It's all on camera of me saying that my dog woke me up 5 times last night, 2 out. So I am like a zombie today, maybe. But I'm going to do my very best to wake up quickly and yeah, we'll see how this all goes. Give me like 2 seconds to get the lights going on here so I don't look so blue.
Robin is
Ooh.
already calling you to the Dubois. And Wendy, welcome. Welcome to the Daily Whatever. You can see that our very high production values are fully in place.
Right. They are usually far higher than this. True. No, they're not really. Well, maybe a little. They're usually
I
maybe a
mean,
little high.
it's a Substack Live. Do we really have to? I thought authenticity was the point.
I think it is. I think that that's true. Wendy, hello. It is delightful to see you. We were just chatting on Sunday on a live that I didn't know I was joining on your live. You just sucked me into the live and it was amazing. And I'm still blown away by how many things I learned in such a short period of time. Um, you are clearly multi-hyphenate is the word we like to use, multiple interests, and you know about a very diverse range of things. So I think that the next 58 minutes or so, 56 minutes or so
You know
are
what's
going
fun
to
about
be
this is we keep
illuminating.
referencing Wendy. Hello, Wendy. We're not letting you get a word in edgewise yet because we know you're going to give us a lecture on history in like 2 minutes.
And we're
I
not
just want to
ready.
say the first time I joined a Wendy live, I
Yeah.
popped in just to, see what was going on. Wendy pulled me on screen within a minute and
Yeah.
then laughed in my face when I joined.
Well, why did you laugh?
Because my hair was standing on end and I had this like deer in the headlights look on my face, like, what the fuck just happened?
So you're not the first person that's happened to. Wendy Parker, who's one of our writers, the first time that I did it to her, she was like, "What the fuck am I doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, you're co-hosting the live or whatever." And she was like, "You can do that?" And I went, "Well, yeah, of course." Um, oh, Morgan,
Vet lube?
yeah,
I see Morgan X says, Wendy, you recommended vet lube for
yeah,
me.
right. There was a lube
Explain.
discussion, and I literally said, "Look, if you're going to lube anything,
Yeah.
J lube."
Oh, J-Lube. Oh my God. It's got to be J-Lube.
Yeah, it's a
There-
bitch to deal with because it's a powder and you have to do shit to it, but it works.
oh yeah. I mean, there's nothing you can't stick up inside you with some J-Lube.
Hold on.
There's no
Volkswagen Beetles,
accident. There's no accident
stoplights,
in fisting ever.
the Space Needle. I mean, literally, with some J-Lube, you could fit it all.
But did you say shove inside you or stick inside you? I'm trying to get the quote.
Well, I mean, that's the thing with J-Lube, nothing is shoved or stuck. It all slides. It all
Oh,
slides super easy.
slide. That's the verb.
It's basically how fast can you relax those muscles and how good is your labor breathing?
Oh my God.
Breathe and
Well,
push.
y'all,
Breathe.
wow. That was a lot first thing in the morning coming at me. I got the quote. T-shirts, Lawrence.
Oh my God, yes, I should create a J-Lube t-shirt for sure. I already
Yeah.
have one that says lube is my love language. So
Okay. That's a good
yeah.
one. Happy Pride.
Happy Pride, everybody. Soon uses butter. Okay.
Oh, Elaine, the mean old feminist was on when Wendy brought me on the other day. Hi, Elaine. Nice to see you here.
Well, this is going to be fun. This is a merging of worlds.
It
Wendy, I think
is.
all of Wendy's Thistle and Moss people are going to be. Did I get that right? Thistle and Moss.
Yeah, well, the publication is called Wendy the Druid, but the Thistle and Moss domain is an aspect of Druidism that uh, uh, is the directive of my grove. So all Druid groups are called groves. I sometimes use the word coven, but normally it's a grove. And so my grove is the Thistle and Moss Grove, which is why I registered that domain. Because thistles are prickly and very defensive plants, and moss is an unobtrusively far extending, going wherever the fuck it can go, plant. And so it is the the intent of the druidry to permeate itself all over the place, even if nobody else wants to believe what druids believe. I don't believe in converting people. I just believe in sharing everything with everybody.
You know, Wendy, when I refer to my thistle and grove, I'm usually talking about waxing my ass crack.
Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah. I completely get that.
I think I'm just going to be sitting here.
I mean, no
quoting
disrespect.
everybody
I
and
mean, no
laughing.
disrespect to Druidism. I just can't. If there's a double entendre or triple entendre within arm's reach, I can't not do it.
Oh, no. Look, I am the queen of sexual double entendre innuendo.
Wow.
I mean, I'm the
Okay.
person that tells my partner, she's parking the car, and she's like, okay, I'm going to back it in, but I need to pull out. And then I look at her and go, I told you never to pull out.
Right.
She'll be here. She'll be here all hours, all hour, folks.
Sarah
Don't
just
forget
said
to
it's
tip
going
your
to be a
waitress.
more. Oh, sorry, Sarah from the chat. It's going to be a morning that I need to be selective about when I drink my morning beverage.
Right. Yes.
Girls, same. Low hanging fruit, Lawrence from Karen. You've got to have a retort to that, Lawrence, right?
Yeah. I mean, I love my
Yep.
boyfriend's low hanging fruit.
I know you do. I'm certain that you do. We're getting into this already. Wendy, would you like to introduce yourself? I don't even know where to start with.
Now that we're 9 minutes in, would you,
Right?
My name is Wendy Weber. I live in Atlanta, Georgia. I have a trans female partner. We have 3 kids, Charlie, Gizmo, and Alex. Charlie and Alex are her bio kids, and Gizmo is my bio kid.
So cute.
Professionally, I am currently fired for being a trans woman info security engineer, which is a strange thing to say.
hard to sit at the top of a resume.
Right. Yeah. My partner is the senior director of threat intelligence at a company called Total. Previously, she was the senior director of threat intelligence at a company called SpyCloud. She's an Uber hacker, but here's what's funny. Just a little brief bit of history. She and I knew each other 19 years ago in the before times.
Oh.
So pre-transition, and we worked together, and I brought her up. So I brought her up into the info security field just as I was exiting the info security field to go into cloud engineering. And then, later we connected. And the funny part about that story is that she messaged me on LinkedIn one day and she was like, hey, we're first level connected and I don't know you, Wendy. And I'm like, oh, yeah, Kira, I don't know Kira either. How the fuck did this happen? And we went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And finally, she was like, did you work here? And I went, yeah. And she went, do you remember Dead Name? And I went, oh, yeah. Yeah, I definitely remember that person. And she was like, well, me. And I went, oh, well, do you remember Dead Name? And she went, wow, you look really different from Dead Name ago or whatever. Right. And so then, like, there was this whole rigmarole between us. We didn't want to be in a relationship for a year, although I was really infatuated with her after that. And so back then I was doing trans girl and queer brunches at my house. So I literally would invite all the queer people that I knew and all the trans people that I knew over to my house, cook food for all of them for free, feed everybody, and then it would just be social hour. And so she started coming to those, and then eventually we got together. But that's all history. So that's who I am. Oh, and I'm a druid. I've been a practicing druid for 25 years. I'm a multi-degreed person. I speak fluently 9 languages: Russian, English, Gaelic, Hebrew, Greek, Latin, Italian, limited French, and a tiny bit of Spanish.
Que bueno.
And you're full MAGA.
No, fuck. No, as you will no doubt find out about today's MAGA Civil War political article that is going to hit in 45 minutes. And that one's going to be even better than the Mike Johnson tiny wee wee one. Okay, there you go. That's my bio.
I was looking for a joke in there, Wendy, because basically you're a trans woman who's essentially a witch for, the uneducated, and you're part of the hacker deep state. Like, you're literally everything they hate.
Right.
You're highly intelligent and multiple degree educated.
Partnered with another trans woman.
Yeah, right. Partnered with another trans woman.
Right.
You're raising the next generation to be gay.
Right.
Shame on you.
You're so blue, you're ultraviolet, basically. Like, you can't be seen in the normal spectrum.
Wendy, I have two might be very naive questions. Is that okay?
Sure.
The first one, this is a real hard hitter. What are your pronouns?
Oh, she, her. Hilariously, I came out as a gay queer person much before I came out as a trans person. I mean, even then, and this was like 13 years ago, I knew about the pronoun thing because there were people in my circle that, because I hung around all the drag queens or whatever. And so, like 13 years ago, we were like, I just need to be a she, her, and that's it. And so, even then, before I ever considered gender transition, I was very maternal. It was very odd. Everyone just called me mom.
Craig says Wendy's pronouns are June/Cleaver.
Yeah,
that is funny.
I love that.
Well, my partner will tell you. My partner will tell you. I have a huge June Cleaver fetish.
I'm into it. I have a little bit of one as well, and I'm into it. My second question is, what is the difference between a druid and a witch? Like, I know the word druid, but I love your thistle and moss explanation. I actually have a tattoo of thistles on my back because I like thistles because they're prickly but beautiful. But tell me, like, is there a quick and easy way to you'd explain to me and our audience?
Let me reference tome number 6. I have like tomes big.
Of course.
I won't drag them out, but I have one that's like this big that has a lock on it and it weighs like 75 pounds.
Can we call it a grimoire?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what you could call it.
Are you looking up data?
Yeah, I'm looking. Yeah, I'm actually searching tome number 6. I have that all in a. I know this is going to sound bad, but literally a text file on my machine.
I thought for a minute you were going to say a captive AI.
No,
own large language model.
No, I categorically disagree with those. Okay, so yeah, here we go. So a Wiccan is a practitioner of Wicca. Wicca's only been around since about the 20th century.
Okay.
And they follow what they call the Wiccan Rede, which is basically the creed that says harm no one. They worship one specific god and one specific goddess, and they celebrate the Sabbats. I celebrate the Sabbats. I'll explain that in a second. Witches are just a generalized term. Witches can be any of the aesthetic externals. And when I say aesthetic externals, I mean not traditionally polytheistic and not traditional monotheistic, but outside of that scope. Astrid Belladonna, who was one of my readers, and I regularly have these discussions because she's a Luciferian. So that would be outside of that would be outside of the common aesthetic. So a druid is essentially a worshiper of nature and nothing else. So from the druid perspective, we believe that there is an embodying spirit of the earth, the mother. The mother is the spirit of energy in the earth, and Tristan, a devil worshiper. No, Luciferians are not per se devil worshippers. That's a whole nother discussion. But regardless, so the
Okay.
mother embodies the spirit of the earth, and literally all we are called upon to do is heal the earth, heal other people, um, protect the land. Because if we protect the land and the earth and we heal the people that live on it, then the earth will give back to us, and that energy enters into a cycle. That cycle, by the way, is called the wheel. And so, like at the top of the wheel, there's basically the solstices are 4 of the wheel markers, and then Mabon, Salmon, Yule, and Embolic are the other 4. And basically, that's a week long of festival drinking, eating copiously large amounts of food, and celebrating the yield from the earth. So,
Okay.
I am an experienced herbalist. I've been an herbalist for 25 years. I will literally tell you that I literally live on only 20% of pharmaceutical products. Everything else that I put into my body to treat the problems that I have are entirely natural and water soluble that go out of my body every 24 hours. However, unfortunately, because I'm a trans person, I have to take estradiol.
Fair.
There you go. So
All
yeah,
right.
yeah.
I felt like I just went to school, and that was amazing. I absolutely loved it. And so, Morgan X said Tikkun Alamish, and I was literally thinking that as you were talking. I was like, it's interesting how, when you dig down to the root of it, there are just so many things that are fundamentally like shamanic slash druidic slash witchcraft, even at their heart. Like the core of Judaism is basically shamanic. Yeah, um, very interesting. But hey, we're talking about queer history this week.
Yes.
Dana, did you have other questions for Wendy? Because I know. Oh, hey, Biff, Biff, how's it going, bro? How you doing, Wendy? This is Dana's fling. Oh no! All right, I'm getting the head shake.
Well, okay, okay. There's a person for that. Cool.
I'm all right. I've said too much. Cancel the live. Cancel the live. Where's the button?
We're so canceled now. Hi.
Yeah, it says hi, Biff. Are you glowing too?
Stop. Oh, save it for tomorrow's, Lawrence. It's more topic appropriate. I don't want to
Oh
distract
yes,
you.
I'm sorry.
We
I'm
have
sorry.
Wendy
Tomorrow
here.
we're talking about Gen X sex and relationships, but today we're talking about queer history. So Wendy, I don't know. I said this when you pulled me on screen on your chat. The thing that drew me initially to your Substack account, aside from all the rainbows and trans flags and everything, was you post these amazing gay history articles. And I don't know why I'm like my right eye is tearing up. Forgive me, but um, they're they're beautifully written. They're really in depth. They're obviously knowledgeable about the history of the moment or the people that you're discussing. And what I love is I feel like they come from an inherently joyful place of like true queer pride that whether it's Walt Whitman or God, I'm sorry, I'm Baker, the lesbian woman that you recently posted about kind of living her authentic life and building a social circle. I feel like many of your stories come from a place of like, hey, look, we've been here forever and we learned how to have joy and experience gay pride or lesbian pride or trans pride, like even back in the ickety doos when everyone was trying to beat us with a baseball bat, which they still kind of are. So I'm going to stop there and let you actually speak.
So yeah, here was the thing. The the whole queer history thing started um because of a blue sky discussion that I was having with another person who is one of my blue sky followers. And they are a non-binary person. And the thing that they were talking to me about at the time was, can you write um, non-binary stuff? And I thought, I was thinking because before that, I mean, I had done like, uh, back in April, I'd done a gender dysphoria article. This is why it sucks. This is why, um, it hurts. As a person who suffers from dysphoria as often as I do, um, then and like I had I had done an article about why Riley Gaines was a piece of shit. And I was doing like informational bits, rural queer healthcare. You live in a rural place and you're trying to get healthcare and you can't. These are the options you have. And so, um, what really hit was like way back in March, I had done an article about a friend who I will not name because she wouldn't want to be named. But literally, she was a trans woman who, and I know this is going to sound sad, was literally forced to live in stealth. Now, if no one knows what that means, living in stealth when you're a trans person is living in stealth, i.e., nobody outside of your home space is aware that you're trans and you don't portray yourself as a trans person. You don't identify as a trans person. You literally identify as a female. Living in stealth is a really huge problem. And for this person, it was specifically difficult because the relationship that she was in required her to be stealth. And when she did things that were against living stealthfully, um, her boyfriend would beat her a lot. And um, so so back to the other argument. So my blue sky friend and I were talking. She was like, if you're going to write stuff like this, I mean, this has been going on for a long time. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's been going on for a really fucking long time. And she's like, you should write about that. And so I did. And so the first of those articles was the public universal friend, who is the quintessential, like, 1776 non binary person. And if you don't know who the public universal friend
Oh,
is,
I saw a play. Oh my gosh, like a little like fringe Seattle indie play that was amazing, and the public universal friend was a character in it.
yeah, basically,
Okay.
like,
I didn't
here,
know that was based in reality. Okay.
no, no, no. Yes, the public universal friend was literally a Quaker preacher, female
Yeah.
Quaker preacher from 1774. And by the way, she was friends with George Washington. They were friends with George Washington or
Okay.
something. And so it was like crazy, right? Um, and so they assumed an androgynous non-binary presentation for the remainder of their life. Here's the thing about the public universal friend. Um, like, they were respected. John Adams actually spoke to them in a way that was respectful, and whatnot. And so, yeah, so I did that. Well, that was back on May 5th that I started writing that, and I tried to churn it as a paid article because I felt like that was something that people would want to read if it was paid for content. And so, as it turns out, not so much. But then the better part uh, of my sensibilities took over, and I'm like, no, this is something everybody should read. And so I started cutting the queer history articles as freebies. But here was the thing, and again, I had actually talked to my sister about this. So my sister lives up in Maryland, and my sister is a marketing person for a very large video game company that I will not identify. So if you're a video game person, you can ask me that question in private. I might not answer you. Anyway, and she was like, "Look, if you're going to do that, that means you have to write about the bad shit." And so I was like, "Oh, well, I mean, so that means writing about Stonewall." And she's like, "No, I think you need to write about like the really bad shit." And I'm like, okay, so that means I got to write about the Hays Code." And she's like, "Exactly." And so the Hays Code article that I wrote, by the way, do you know what the Hays Code is?
I don't know.
Okay,
Do you know
so
it?
yes, cinema in the late 20s, going into the early 30s, was viscerally gay. I mean, there were women kissing women, men kissing men, there were people in drag. And then in 1935, um, the religious majority instituted the Hays Code. And so after that, literally, any film, like, I don't know how I think it was a congressional deal, but basically any film that had a gay character in it, the gay character had to be codified as a villain, killed on screen or off screen, and could never be portrayed in a positive light. So we all know who Ursula is from The Little Mermaid, right?
Yep.
She's divine.
That is a Hays coded queer character.
Oh my gosh. I hadn't. Wow. So this was an actual rule.
Yeah,
Not like
an actual rule. Yeah. And it's
Okay.
pretty much like after the mid to late 90s, people stopped doing it. In 68, it became like the legality of it sort of ended, but people were still doing it. But the Hays Code was just, ugh. And so I really hated to write that article. So the article I wrote after it was, this is what it was like before the Hays Code, and this was how wonderful it is.
I didn't see. I get around you, Wendy, and I'm just like, I feel like I'm a sort of reasonably well-informed person, but I'm like, no, I got nothing.
So, like, for instance,
Amazing.
there was an article that happened like 3 or 4 days before that about Mercedes de Acosta. Mercedes de Acosta was a stage worker. And do you know who Marlene Dietrich is?
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
And Greta Garbo?
Oh, yeah.
Mercedes de Acosta in 1932 bedded the both of them. And by the way, de Acosta was the girl who literally will walk around and say, if you're married to some guy, or you're married to her, guess what? I can have her in my bed and have her divorce you in 5 blinks. Fuck off. So
Nice.
so de Acosta, she bedded down a lot of people. A lot of females.
All right, I just got to point out the chat is off the hook as usual. They're currently debating the various attachments on the hook that Elaine. I mean, I'm not even sure I can unpack this whole thing. All I know is right now, Fasun has me imagining a Little Mermaid attachment on the hook.
Well, it started
being inserted while singing.
Oh my gosh. This started, Lawrence, because Elaine, I'm not going to call you I can't say Elaine the mean old feminist, but you don't seem very mean to me. You're very funny. It's only when prompted, maybe. But she wrote, it's one of the good things about weighing 300 pounds. The romantic partner who raises a hand to me is going to spend the rest of her life wiping her ass with a hook. That's where it started. And so then all the hook talk.
Right.
Started
Craig postulated that wiping your ass with a hook might not be all that terrible. And I said, it depends on the attachment that you've got.
Yes.
The right attachment and some J-Lube and, full circle. Anyone who just joined the chat is going to wonder what the fuck. Jonathan Haney just joined. Jonathan, hello. I recognize you from Gray Galaxy's posts. Welcome to the madness of the daily whatever.
Our subscriber count starts.
Right. People are like, they're too crazy.
Yeah.
Morgan says that we are off piste, and it is true. So Wendy, I think, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I think you had an article that you were going to talk to us specifically about today for Queen History.
Yeah, I mean, literally, we can hit any of the ones that are in the role. The one that I did this morning was very difficult to write, and it's another example of why things are fucked up. So this morning's queer history article was the genital mutilation of the 1880s. So basically, in the late 1800s, the medical establishment had approached people who were queer as being diseased. Now, remember, in whatever iteration of the DSM that we were in at the time,
let's talk about this one, but promise me that you've got a good, happy one to end us with.
Oh, no. I got a great, yeah, don't worry. I got a great happy one. I've selected 3 and we can bounce between them. So,
yeah, I mean, tell us about the genital mutilation one, but also right at the point where I want to go pitch myself off the top of a tall building, maybe switch.
So we all know who Dr. Kellogg is, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the Kellogg cereal guy.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
was
Oh,
actually,
the
yeah,
no masturbation guy. Yeah.
yeah, no masturbation. He was a proponent of gay castration, gay
Oh,
hysterectomy, um,
delightful.
and lobotomy. Yeah, if you were gay, you got lobotomized. And not to like
Oh my God.
go down the list, but um, castration, clitoridectomies. They did hysterectomies to women that they thought were lesbians to assuage them the source of the reason that they were gay. Lobotomies, electric shock therapy was common, ice water baths.
Oh
Um,
man. So what you're saying is he never was a cornflake girl.
no, 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 no,
Okay.
no, no.
Never.
No, never. Here are the ones that like shocked me based on the research that I'd done. They tried chemical castration back then, and they used untested drugs on humans that killed people. Exactly. Get this. Um, insulin shock therapy was used.
Injecting people with so much insulin that they went into ketoacidosis.
Yeah, basically insulin shock therapy, giving them enough insulin that would cause them to go into convulsions, and or go into an outright coma. Um, and then here's the thing that freaks me out: forced heterosexual interactions with lesbians that were in asylums because being a gay female was right. They would actually put a suspected lesbian woman in a mental ward cell with a known rapist to force her into. Yeah, I mean, um, it was. Ugh. And then sensory deprivation. They basically put somebody in solitary until they agreed to be straight. And so
Until they agreed to be straight.
straight, yeah. And so
Oh
that
God. Oh God, doctor. I swear. I'll fuck a pussy. Just let me out of here.
one aspect
Mommy,
of
why
this,
is daddy so sad?
right? One aspect of this that I is something that still happens today and is a much larger systemic problem. Is back then, and people still do this. Um, they blend orientation and gender together, and that's categorically fucking wrong, in my opinion. You can't take gender and you can't take orientation and put them together. And so I can't tell you the number of times I'm walking down the street and somebody approaches me. So you're, word that rhymes with hag, and I'm like, no, um, no, this is my spouse person. Well, they're a female, right? Because you can't. I just I can't tell you the number of times I've had that experience. And then you try to explain to somebody, I'm a trans lesbian. And they're like, well, what the fuck is that? Okay. Trans 101 here. Um, and then you try to explain it to them and then they don't get it. So yeah, even back in the 1880s, gender and orientation were just classically blended together. And anybody that satisfied any of the requirements between the two of them would fall victim to these
Okay.
conditions.
You
I'm
know,
gonna race. Oh, sorry.
I mean, Dana, what I was going to say is it reminded me of the conversation that we had yesterday or the day before where we were talking about, God, I had a really fucking good point here. Help me out and finish my thought, Dana, would you?
I think you were probably talking about the gender and sexuality. I feel like have only quite recently become separated and spoken about in that way, even for allies like me. And I was going, people from outside of Seattle, our little blue bubble, sometimes have a hard time believing the level of knowledge that's here. But like my kids in elementary school had to study the gender unicorn. Do you know what this is? That like gender and sexuality are different, and your brain is part and your heart is part of it, and your genitals and body are part of it. Like they taught that to them in like third grade here. actually, and in fourth and in fifth, I got to a point where I was like, I never want to see this gender unicorn again. Why are you studying this over and over? And now I'm like, Dana, the Trump 2.0 is making me grateful for things that I did the Gen X eye roll about. So but even like that was, as my child was going through it, it was, I knew it sort of intuitively, but to hear it called out like that, I was like, oh, of course they're different. But I think that most Americans will still conflate the two. And I think yesterday we said something about like, well, which one of you is the boy? When, or which one of you is the girl when they see a gay or a lesbian couple, um, you know, at a marriage equality passed here first. So I remember hearing comments of like, which one of you is the bride? And it's like, there's no bride.
Right.
That's just an assumption of heteronormativity that's still very dominant.
Right. Good Lord. I mean, I'm in Indiana now, you know this, Dana, living near my family. And, I still got purportedly well-intentioned people who ask me like, so who's the wife? So when you're with your boyfriend, like, who's the girl? And it's like, are you asking me who bottoms? Because
do you go there like that?
I mean, it depends on the crowd. It depends on the setting. It depends on there's a pub down the street from me called the Black Dog Pub. Sorry, Taylor Swift fans. It is the Trumpiest, most MAGA-ish place in the world. I made the mistake of going there once for a burger with some people and had this conversation and realized, I was probably about to get murdered. So, yeah.
Right. But you have the advantage of being like a big burly bear. So
I do. I acknowledge.
And you can put it on. I've seen you put it on.
This comes with lots of inherent privileges. I do acknowledge. Yes.
That you're like, when you get mad, I know that you're like, I'm not going to beat you up, but you look like you could beat the shit out of somebody. And I didn't mean to,
under Trump 2.0, I think I might actually be in touch with my inner rage demon. So
okay.
I think I could.
You have my full support.
Anyway, Wendy, sorry to interrupt you, but it ties together to we're just having this. The Daily Whatever is really the giant conversation that Dana and I have been having for the last 40 years. And everybody else is just invited to see it in 1 hour increments every day.
Pretty much.
So yeah, that's pretty much the coverage of there were significant psychological issues that came out of the 1880s movement to erase queer people through bizarre, fucked up, torture-driven means. And here's the really sad thing: a lot of the things that they were doing that came out of that continued well into the 70s. I mean, read the Alan Turing article. They forced chemical castration on Alan Turing because he was gay, and so so categorically, these are things that people need to know. Now it's not all like viscerally gloomy and depressing, and all of the other things that are attached to that. There are positives that came out of, you know, that period of time. The one I cut quite a bit ago was the the best lesbian couple ever, in my opinion. Let me find it really quick, and then I'll.
Stu Bird and Megan Rapinoe, is that who it is?
No. It's the Gosh, where did I cram that?
Lord, that's that every day.
Yeah.
No. Martha May Elliott and Ethel Collins. And,
I read this piece of yours. This one is great.
Yeah, so Martha May Elliott and Ethel Collins were essentially they were queer identifying women in the 20s. Now, here's the thing: they were both doctors, and not like shitty doctors. Ethel Collins went on to be a doctor at Johns Hopkins, and a lot of the birthing theories that people still follow today are followed because of her.
Yeah.
Just like Martha May Elliott, which, by the way, Martha May Elliott was T.S. Eliot's cousin.
Ooh.
Oh,
which
wow.
was, that was a real interesting connection. But here was the thing. I mean, They were a lesbian couple. They were social. They had a close circle of friends. There were people back in the 30s that knew that they were gay, and the 40s and the
And
50s.
didn't one of them end up serving in FDR's administration in some
Yes,
capacity?
yes, exactly. And then May Elliott even developed a treatment for tuberculosis that is even still used today. And so um, that's the kind of history that people need to know. Because psychologically, when we live in a world where you feel alone and you feel isolated, um, you don't have a sense for um, how things are or why things are the way they are. Um, and so, if you understand that the things that we're dealing with now are things people have been dealing with forever, on top of the fact that there are people who did these things and lived happy lives. They were actually, and not all of them because they were fucking rich. They had a shit ton of money or whatever, but literally they were able to lead a productive and happy life as a queer individual.
Right.
It happened.
I loved your Walt Whitman article where you talked about uh, why you laugh at me.
Because people viscerally debated me on that one.
I, I mean, I mean, I've known my entire life, through reading Walt Whitman, and like I knew that he was queer and that he created a social circle of gay men. Um, I but do people still debate that? Like, it's not even up for debate anymore, is it?
And I've said this in live sessions before. Even in the same way that people in the 80s did about calling Liberace gay. I mean, I had a grandparent who, when I called, he's gay, right? And my grandparent was literally like, "Don't say that if you don't know."
I mean, we all kind of know.
Are we?
Weren't we just talking about this yesterday, Lawrence?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the who didn't think George Michael and
right.
what else were we debating? I can't remember now.
So I published that. Well, the mag is all. That's the thing. Whenever I publish something, my Grove leader Wina goes out to Twitter and she spams the shit out of it to whoever it is. So if I like the Nancy Mace article, I feel bad about this. And I'm surprised she hasn't gotten banned from Twitter yet. But she literally spammed that link into, I shit you not, 50 Nancy Mace posts. Oh, and by the way, I don't think anybody noticed this. Craig, can you call up the article, please? And drop it because this is important. The I don't nobody noticed this, but the picture that I actually used in the article, um, where she's pulling her glasses up over her face, her nipples are poking directly through her shirt. And so in all of the posts that Wina dropped into name, she called her nipples McGee.
Nice.
Oh my gosh. I need to step out for just a moment. My poor sick little dog is
hit the mute button.
I'm going to
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I'll talk to Wendy by myself.
So whenever I publish an article, a bunch of MAGAs hit me with DMs. It's bullshit. What you're saying is a lie. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You're teaching history wrong. And I'm like, okay, if people are viscerally replying to me in that way over the things that I'm writing, that means what I'm writing is actually having an effect.
Oh yeah, no, it's having an effect and it's necessary. And thank you for doing it. I'm not sure that I could. I'm not sure that I could. My mental health could survive outrage farming in quite the same way. I think I might. I think I might lose my shit and end up becoming, accidentally becoming main character of the day in not a good way. It, but kudos to you because I don't think that I could. I don't think that I could do that.
That's a question that people very commonly ask me is, well, Wendy, how do you continue to be such a prolific generator by yourself, almost literally? all of this content. And so the answer to that question is, so the Druid meditations and the guided meditations, those are actually drawn out of a text that I already own. That's out of my second Druid tome. So literally to write those is there's nothing to that. The queer history articles are essentially citation reference. And then I just wrap my own colorful language around it. The political articles, those are the ones that fucking suck. Those are the ones that are hard. And those are the ones that soak up the most amount of my time. So when I hit everybody's mailbox for 4 emails every day, that's why you're getting all of that. Um, but yeah, people viscerally have resisted the queer history articles. Oh, by the way, I should tell you. So there was the article I wrote about Sappho from
Oh,
the
that one
Isle
was
of
great too.
yeah, Sappho from the Isle of Lesbos. Um, I can't tell you the number of people that told me you're making that up, and whoa, okay.
I
But
yeah,
here's what
I
here, I, here's what's
we're in danger as a society that there's so many of our fellow, I don't know what we call them, country people
right.
who don't understand the most basic bits of history. Like, where do you think the word lesbian came from, kids?
I mean, I
What
don't.
what do you think sapphic means?
Hmm. I can't. But here's what's even funnier is the people that fought me on that and told me it was a lie did not get why on the same day I published the history of the strap on. Um, they were like, this Sappho thing is bullshit. And oh, by the way, why did you publish the history of strap-ons with it? And I was like, um, is the irony escaping you?
Yeah, I these are the people who can't do the connect the dots at the kiddies menu at Denny's, like you can't uh probably flat earthers and
Oh, I fought with those motherfuckers before.
the
That was
flat
not fun.
earthers.
Yes, that was not a fun experience. If I fly high up enough into space, will I hit the firmament? Well, no, 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 you won't do that. But we went to the moon, right? So, okay. I'm not even gonna try to yeah. I've engaged flat earthers before, and that's not a fun.
Okay, I'm going to ask you this. This is maybe an unanswerable question, but your two parts. What is your favorite piece of queer history that most people may not know? That's one. And what is the most important thing that people should know about queer history that maybe they don't? Maybe they're the same thing.
Um, well, the most long-reaching and long-affecting with, numerous, tendrils that affected, society as a whole, um, like, even more viscerally than mutilating people in the 1880s, was, the McCarthy era and the Lavender Scare. Because basically, so McCarthy wanted to essentially, stop the communist pinkos. He wanted to ban all queer people from living, essentially, and so the Lavender Scare caused so many. Basically, the Lavender Scare in the 50s, going into the 60s, that caused closeted behavior to go very high.
Right.
That caused lavender marriages to happen. That caused gay and queer shame and guilt to happen. That was a reverberating effect that went well into the early 2000s. And even still today, I mean, there's still people, I understand why. For example, Jim Neighbors, Gomer Pyle.
Yeah.
Married to his husband for 45 years in a domestic partnership. And nobody knew that he was gay. Barry Manilow, Barry Manilow's the other one. Like, oh my
We were
God.
talking about him yesterday.
Yeah. Barry Manilow. When Barry Manilow, it came out that Barry Manilow had been gay and he'd been with his husband for like 25 years, all the women that screamed. But that's the thing. McCarthy's era of the Lavender Scare perpetuated just constantly. And so then, for example, that affected cruising culture. People, under
Sure.
the radar, on the down low, like all of those iteratives were
Well,
literally encouraged entirely by McCarthy's.
and it makes me think of, like the pendulum swinging and everything, right? So coming out of the Lavender Scare and everyone being closeted, then you get, the liberation movement of the 60s and 70s. You get, discos, Crisco discos, kind of that heyday, if you will, of gay male sort of sexual freedom. And then it runs into the wall of HIV and AIDS. And you get, sort of a new repression under Reagan and the terror of HIV. And a thing that I'm going to continue to say loudly until the day that I die, the unacknowledged effort and superhuman care that the lesbian community offered to the gay male community
Oh, huge.
during the time of HIV and AIDS, where I think maybe truly for the first time in modern history, and you can disagree with me if you want, but I remember the vibe during that time of like, oh, we are all queer together. It's not just gay dudes off, fucking to the latest, Cher song, and lesbians. I don't want to say anything upsetting. Having a potluck, um, like that we are a community together, and yeah, all of that stuff is tied together, and it all sort of echoes back and forth. The water of history just sort of sloshing back and forth in its pool. How's
Well,
that for uplifting?
I completely agree. Um, I completely agree. But your second question was what?
Well, it was basically like, what's your favorite piece of queer history that people may not know, and what's the most important piece that people may not know? So I'm not sure which Lavender Scare was which one, your favorite or most important?
The understanding the Lavender Scare is the most important.
Yeah.
Um, versus my favorite. There isn't one. It's basically all of it. Um, and let me just be very clear about this. So, one of my trans sisters and I, we sat down, and she's a historian, by the way. Um, and I, people have asked, like, how long is queer history going to go? Okay, I literally tell you that I have, uh, including events and persons, between 500 and 580 article fodder. So I can do queer history well into next year every day. Um,
Question: Have you yet? Here's my favorite. Have you yet written an article on the Sacred Band of Thebes?
no, no, no. That's I. So I'm saving that one.
Okay, because
Uh,
my favorite piece of queer history is the Sacred Band of Thebes. This was an all male, all what we would call in modern times gay fighting force, where it was couples, it was paired men. There was a sword and a shield, and they were in love. They were partners, and they literally had each other's backs on the fighting field. And until they came across Alexander and Hephaestion, they were undefeated in history. Um, so that is my favorite part of queer history, possibly because I like thinking about the orgies they had after a successful battle.
I will tell you, very interestingly, and I didn't get a lot of traction with it. Was a piece of queer history that I did not know. So here, my friend and I have gone through all this history, and we're picking out all this shit. And so I had published like the 4 or 5 queer history articles. And then Linda Simpson, who's one of my readers, is a 70-something police officer. By the way, I should point out, Craig, can you dig up the T-Cops link and drop it, please? She is one of the founders of the transgender police officers awareness group. So get this. I didn't know this. Nora Davenport O'Neill was a trans woman back in the 60s who literally became the first DC police officer in 63 as a trans woman. And everyone knew she was a trans woman and no one gave a shit. And she had a lifelong career. She eventually, I think, made captain or some other higher up position. But yeah, that's it. The T-Cops International. So that's my friend Linda, who's one of my readers. I have unusual readers that do things way cooler than things I do. But anyway, so she was like, "You should write about Nora Davenport O'Neill." And I was like, "Who the fuck is that?" And so I went and read, and I was like, "Holy shit! How did I?" And so then I went to my friend, and I'm like, "Did you know about this?" And she was like, "No, I didn't know about that." I'm like, "Read about it." And so the next day, she was messaging me, and she was like, "I didn't realize this. I'm going to add this to the work that I'm doing." And so, um, yeah. So, yeah, as I find out, there's a lot of shit I know about. There's a lot more shit I don't know about. And so I challenge our readers and I say, look, if there's something, I tell this to our readers, period. If there's something you want me to write about, drop it. I'll fucking work it. I don't turn down fodder for uh, writing material ever. I say that, and I have a bunch of queer culture articles coming up. I'm not going to publish the one about snowballing because we let that one go the other day.
Oh, come on now. The kids need
Um,
to know about snowballing.
um, but yeah, I like,
If you publish the one about snowballing, Tristan and I will publish our Ecuadorian steamroller article.
right. But yeah, like, so like the Molly Walks one that I wrote, that's it, dropping hairpins, the rough trade, the chicken and hawk methodology. Um, oh yeah, that one's gonna be fun. um, Fisting, felching, snowballing, rimming, docking. Why is docking a thing? I don't even understand that.
I mean, I get why docking is the thing. Are you kidding? I was born Jewish. They took my foreskin at 8 days. I want to feel a foreskin on the head of my dick. Dock me, daddy.
um, and then
Another T-shirt, Lawrence.
You know what? You're right. That is another T-shirt.
I feel like
Dock me, daddy.
but there's bad shit in there too, like bug chasing. Like there are people that don't understand bug chasers.
Yeah, that
And I'm like,
still and always will freak me the fuck out.
yeah.
Bug chasing, for those who don't know, is people who fetishize HIV and will intentionally get infected with HIV.
Yeah. There are guys that will specifically expose themselves to active HIV positive individuals, and the whole rationale behind it is, Fuzon, I'll explain it to you. It's very easy. At the height of the HIV epidemic, literally there were people that were like, "Look, I'm gonna
get it anyway,
so that I can have sex with whoever the fuck I want."
Right.
That's what. Yeah, that's why.
It is an incredibly short-sighted and nihilistic approach to life and sexuality. I'm gonna get it anyway and die. I might as well get it over with so I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, it is
Wow.
bizarrely disgusting. But
Ooh, I don't want this to be the note that we go out on, but I will note it is the top of the hour. And Wendy, I always feel like we could talk to you for 16 hours straight, and probably no one would be on the call at the end of it. But we wouldn't, between you and me and Dana, we would never run out of things to talk about. Dana is sitting very quietly, which is absolutely unlike her.
I am learning. I'm like docking note. Like, I'm going to gay school. I do want to know, when are we getting the coffee table book, Wendy? I feel like.
Oh, right. So the autobiography is pretty much done. I have to connect those chapters together. The meditations book is 80% complete. Now that's going to be the meditations with the therapies.
Okay.
And then I'm working on like 6 books all at once, by the way. I should point this out. The herbal remedies book is on hold because I'm pending references from Apellian. Apellian and I have had conversations.
Mm.
And so she read one of my articles and she had a problem with something that I wrote. And so I've had to re-incentivize. So, and then I'm working on a short stories book because um, if you uh, if you read my uh, autobiography, chapter 1, which is happens in a queer bar, people have literally told me, Wendy, you just need to write short stories about that bar. They don't have to be true because the one that is fucking hysterical and I love it and I reread it constantly. Um, but that's you need to like do that as a short story or whatever deal.
Craig, come on, man. I'm counting on you. You're dropping
Yeah,
link. Where's the link to that short story, bro?
yeah. Here, I'll drop it because I know where to find it.
Excellent. Yeah, you need to be like an Amazon bestseller. Sorry, any bookseller bestseller. You know what I mean? Wendy the Druid should be a household name. So
People
people are
tell
like
that's the story.
queer history, Wendy the Druid.
People tell me that chapter of My House of Pain is the one that gets read more than any other. And people keep rereading it. And so I've been asked to write a fictional just about that bar. Now, here's the thing. I could tell a few stories from that bar that are not fiction because it's shit that really happened, including, I'm just going to say this, my under the stall experience.
Okay.
Would read? I mean,
Because back then I didn't know what a glory hole was.
Oh,
Right. Okay. So,
I'm trying to write something snarky back to Craig, and I can't concentrate. Craig is saying that he's plumb wore out. I'm like, please.
but I that
We see
but
you, Craig. We
I
we
literally,
know you. You're not wore out from this.
yeah, but I literally would tell people, if you're not interested in politics and you don't give a shit about Druid people and you don't give a shit about queer history, just read my publication for my autobiography, which is a piece of shit and no one should ever read it. My partner's book, um, Sisters of the Binding, and then Wendy Parker's writing. That alone is just enough to keep you entertained.
Amazing.
okay.
Well, we can't thank you enough, Wendy, for joining us today. And the chat has been off the hook fun. It's so great. And it reminds me, like, Dana, thank you for being our straight ally witness to,
Course.
the sharing
Anytime.
of history, which I feel like, yeah, we have to do it even more. We have to embrace this even harder during Trump 2.0.
Yeah,
Here for it.
yes, I completely agree. I wouldn't be doing this shit if I weren't trying to fight Trump 2.0.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, beautiful people. It is Tuesday. It's 11 o'clock on the East Coast. I've got to go get to work.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Wendy. Thank you, Dana. Thank you to everybody in the chat. This has
Thank
been
you
an
so much for
amazing
coming
hour.
on, Wendy. This was amazing. We're going to do this
Always.
again really soon, I hope. And bye, everybody. Love you.
Bye, everybody. Love you, mean it. Bye. Mwah. Mwah.
Oh gosh.